Now, if I were to ask you what a correct lift should look like, how would you describe a correct lift? Jane?
Bend your knees and keep your back straight.
Yep. All right. So we've got us here. Keep our back straight. Bend our knees. And this is your hips. This is your smiling face. And this is your eye. And you are looking this way. And you reach down. And let's say we're picking up 4 bags of shopping. A young child, or we're picking up, if you're working in a construction job, a toolbox or anything. But let's say the load between your knees is roughly about 20 kilos. Right, so that's a good solid lift, but it's not out of the ordinary. kg. All right. So now, obviously, to pick up a load, we have to look at the load. So we look down, and then when we've got hold of the load, we then use our very big, strong back muscles. Sorry, do that again. We pick up with our very strong leg muscles, our calf muscles. We lift up with our inner thigh. We also lift up with our butt muscles, and we engage our six-pack to do a squat. We squat down, pick up, reach down with these arms, pick up the 20-kilo toolbox or bag of premixed concrete or shopping. And then what we do is, using these leg muscles here, we raise our body up to a standing position, and then we walk away. Now, let's look at the mathematics of this. Now, with my body, I weigh 90 kilos. So half my body weight is between here and here. So when I pick something up from the ground, what I do is I squat, and then I raise my body, and I raise not only the load of 20 kilos, but I also have to lift the upper body, all of the body in this zone. So in my case, that's half, which is about 45 kilos. Now, if you weigh 60 kilos, let's do the math on that as well. So that will be 30 kilos. Now, we both squat down and we pick up 20 kilos. So we add that to the total of our body weight here, our load here, and we add that's 65 kilos for me, and that would be 50 kilos for you. When we do that, we engage all of these muscles in our body, and because we've got an extra leg hidden here, we can divide that by 2. That means that each set of leg muscles, butt muscles, inner thigh muscles, and our six-pack pick up half the load. That would be 32.5 kilos for me. So that's how much work the muscle does here. If you divide that by 2, that would be 25 kilos of work that these muscles here would do. And when we have this, we do, say, 50 or 100 lifts in a week. We do this and we build up strength in here. So this is a correct lift. We build up strength in our body from our core all the way down to our toes gripping in the ground. And that is what a correct lift looks like. And that is the math for 2 people, one 90 kilos, one 60 kilos. So this is the common lift. So this is a common lift. This is your kneecap here. This is your head, your eyes, your smiling face, and you reach down to pick up a load which is out from your body. Now, if you do this incorrect lift, most people do this as a common lift. This is not something that they choose. They probably know that there's a correct lift, but this is an incorrect lift. Now, let's look at the math on the incorrect lift. Tied into your hips, tied into your neck are your very strong back muscles. That is 50% of your back muscles. Then there's the six pack or the slab or the keg, and that is the other 50% of your back muscles. Now, when people reach down like this to pick up 20 kilos, commonly done, let's look at the math of that. So between here and here in my body, which weighs 90 kilograms, I have 45 kilos. That's my body weight. Now, can you see from this posture of a lift that I am reaching down to pick up 20 kilos, which is 65 kilos. And from this position, I try to lever the load up. Once I grab the load, I reach down far enough to grab the load here, which is a toolbox or a bag of concrete or a young child. Then what I do is I lever the load up so that when I'm standing up from this pivot point or fulcrum here, this spot in the body takes the pressure of the body weight plus the load, but instead of dividing it by two legs as in the previous correct lift, I have to multiply it by the length of the lever all the way out to the end of your head. And if you're wearing a safety helmet on a particular job, you would also have to multiply it by the load all the way out to the end of your PPE. Now here, that's a multiple of between 7 and 12 times, or an average of 10. So in levering the load up from the ground, you are actually putting 650 kilos of pressure in this part of your body to actually lift up this load, because you're lifting the body plus the load and the arms hanging down and any clothing, etc., that you've got on you, and then you are levering the load up from the ground, which puts 650 kilos of pressure into your lower back area. Now, that whole area takes that pressure of 650 kilos. That's the soft tissue of ligaments, tendons, muscles, etc., but some part of it goes into the structure of the body, or the lower back vertebra. So in bending forward and then lifting up to go away with the load, you are putting 650 kilos of pressure. But not everybody's going to bend down to pick up a whole 20 kilos. But if I was to drop a $100 bill onto the ground and it was right in front of you, a $100 bill, what method of lifting would you normally use to pick that $100 bill up? Most people answer, that one. Straight away, I would bend down and pick it up and swoop it up as quickly as I possibly could. Now, what does a $100 bill weigh? $100 bill weighs next to nothing. But when you swoop down here to get the $100 bill, you are actually putting 45 kilos. If you've got my size body, you're putting 45 kilos of pressure in there. You're using your body. You're adding the body weight to that, so you've got to add that. And then what happens when you add that? You then got to also, that makes that 45 kilos, but then you've got to multiply it by the length of the lever arm all the way out to the end of your head, which is an average of 10, which multiplies that up to 450 kilos, which means that just picking up a piece of plastic from the ground puts 450 kilos into this area of your body. And again, some part of that gets put into the structure of the body. Now, let me show you what happens into the structure of the body.